foremost over here. I guess how's your arm doing, man? Let's talk about that right off the bat.
It's okay. I got surgery last week. It was like fully torn, so they had to like reattach or whatever. But I mean, it feels good. I haven't been out of camp in like a real long time, so it feels like my body feels better now than it was when I was like training for a fight and stuff. So
Yeah. Is it nice to kind of be able to table fighting, not table fighting, but kind of not have to be worried about, getting right back into action or just kind of putting it on the side for a little bit?
I'm gonna enjoy it and like because like these times don't come too often, but I really, really wanted to fight again at the end of the year, so I'm a little bit bummed about that, definitely. But no, I'm gonna like enjoy it and take the blessing while it's here, while it's like the blessing of being able to like rest my head a little bit. So yeah.
Did you have like a wedding or something coming up as well?
Yeah, in a couple weeks.
So yeah, are you gonna still have the cast for that? Or?
No, the cast comes off next week, and then I'm gonna take pictures not in the brace that I'm supposed to wear, and then I'm gonna put the brace back on for the other stuff going on.
Gotcha. And I guess just take me back to the fight a little bit that we saw a couple weeks ago with Rob. Now that you've had some time to kind of digest it, kind of what was your overall assessment of it? Any further thoughts when you went back and watched it?
I mean, I wish I wouldn't have gotten hurt in it. I think that it's almost like I had almost the same reaction that I feel like the tweets that I was reading were having, where it's like, as I'm watching the fight, like round one, it's like, oh yeah, good. Like that was like a cool round, like Cory's grappling more, cool. Round two, kind of same thing. Cory's grappling's getting better. And then like you get 15 more minutes of the same thing. It's not like that exciting anymore, So I was really bummed that was like the circumstance, especially given that like just the amplitude of the fight and how it was supposed to be for, the next title fight and all of that. Like it really sucked that that's kind of the circumstance of it, but I couldn't really punch with it, I didn't really know what it was either. I just knew that something in my tricep felt really messed up. And so in my head, I'm like, well, if that's like partially torn, don't do anything that's going to make it way worse. And then like sacrifice being able to fight or whatever. So I had to just like kind of like shelf that arm and not really be able to punch with it. In the grappling, it wasn't like nagging it as much. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to try to grapple as much as I can. Went for a Darce at the end because I was like, all right, well, fuck it. If it's hurt, like it's the fifth round, I'm just going to go for some shit. And I think that probably made it a little bit worse going for that. But I feel real bummed that was the circumstance. Long story short, I feel real bummed that was the circumstance. But I did my best, and that's like what fighting is sometimes. Sometimes you get fucked up and you got to fight through some stuff.
There was, a series of tweets about how Dana had got up and left during the main event, and kind of initially the vibe, I think, public was that he was unhappy with it. But he actually did an interview with Sports Illustrated that kind of flew under the radar a little bit. He was very complimentary of you. He called you a stud, nothing but respect for you. So I guess, did you see that? And also, have you talked to the UFC brass at all about that performance and maybe them not actually being that disappointed in the whole thing?
Yeah, so I texted Dana afterwards. I was like, and this was kind of before I knew that it was torn, because I don't like sounding or acting like a bitch at all. It's like really against my nature. I fucking hate it. So like, but it is, so I hate being like, fuck man, like I'm sorry, like I know that the fight was slow, that's just like a very unnatural thing for me to do. But I was like, fuck, I got to tell the boss the truth, And I was like, hey man, like I hurt my tricep, blah blah blah. That later that day, I found out or the next morning, I found out that it was torn. I texted him, I was like, hey man, like full tear. Texted me back, and like he was fine, like he was cool with it. I think it's a really reasonable thing to like understand. Like I know it sucks. It was a main event. Like I put on real exciting fights 99% of the time. It was like for number one contenders, and like the expectation was real high, and then like this happened. But what can I really do about it? And he was reasonable about that too. So yeah, I'm glad that he's really understanding about it. Definitely.
Thanks. Cory over here. The fans, and you saw the tweets about everything. Do you feel like once it was revealed that you did tear your tricep, that people were kind of like, oh, I shouldn't have been so hard on him?
Yeah, definitely, dude. Like, I can't imagine another sport where that, like, something like that would happen. And then, like in football, you tear something like that. In basketball, you tear something like that. Like, you don't get to play the rest of the game like that. You know what I mean? And then I had to fight like another 22 minutes like that. So again, I don't like being boastful, and I don't like sounding like a bitch, but like, that was like tough to get through, like it sucked. But I thought I did like real good controlling them and stuff for what that's worth.
You sort of that fight sort of set the table for what's about to happen on Saturday. We got Marlon getting ready to fight Pedro, and then of course the main event between Aljo and Sean O'Malley, and the division is just going to change completely after this fight. As someone coming off of a win and right in the mix, like what's your mindset like right now, thinking about this card and the potential aftermath of the main event?
Yeah, I try not to think about MMA like past 3 months in the future. If this wasn't hurt, I would be expecting to fight for a title at the end of the year against whoever it would be against, whether it's, Sterling wins and leaves or O'Malley wins and it's against him. That would be what I expect, but now I'm probably like 8 months away from getting back into the cage. I'm 6 months from being like 100% healthy, and then 8 months, I think, from being able to fight. So I'm not going to think too far into it. I think there's probably going to be this one this weekend, one more in maybe December or January, and then maybe me. But I don't know. We'll see.
Just to kind of go on that, I know you don't like to look too far into the future, but Marlon Vera was in here yesterday, and he was really honest about it. And he's just like, the best thing, my life becomes much easier if Sean wins the belt because we have a history and all of that. Is there a particular outcome on Saturday that's better for you, you think?
I think just for the division in general. I mean, Chito's not going to get a title fight after this, I don't think. Like, that kind of,
Sean wants that if they go for it.
Yeah, that's some like weak sauce, man. Ain't that some weak sauce? Like, you want to fight the guy that other people are beating, Like, that's like, I don't know. That kind of bothers me about the way that O'Malley thinks a little bit. And it's not even just O'Malley, just kind of the way that sometimes the sport is set up, where it's like, take the easiest fight for the least amount of money type stuff. Like, that's gonna ruin some stuff, man. And it's gonna, like, don't you want to, when you win the belt, say that you're the actual best because you fought the best guys? Like, that's my approach to the whole thing. I think that it's like, a little bit better of a way to live, but everyone can do their own thing. But I think if O'Malley wins, that would be better for the division because Sterling doesn't get to just leave without, losing. If O'Malley wins, then, like, we get, like, a chance to, like, prove that we're the best because he beat the best guy, blah, blah, blah. So I think that would be the best for the division.
And who do you think actually wins that fight on Saturday?
I'm going to root for O'Malley, but I think Sterling's going to win.
Just got a few predictions for some upcoming fights. So the first one's Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland. How do you think that's going to go down?
I think Israel's going to win that one.
Do you see how he gets it done?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. Sean has so many holes like in his striking, but he makes it work somehow because he's real awkward. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a stand-up fight for sure. And I think Israel's the better kickboxer, so Israel will either knock him out or he'll go a whole decision, outpointing him probably.
Okay, and Islam Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira.
I think kind of the same thing is going to happen as the first time, honestly. I think that, like, Islam's grappling is good enough to stop submissions, and Oliveira's, like, cool with playing off his back. And, like, I think that he should not play off of his back against a guy like Islam who, like, can defend submissions real good and keep it standing. If he keeps it standing, I think he's got a way better chance at winning.
Okay, and just last one, Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler.
Against who?
Michael Chandler.
Oh, are they fighting?
Looks like it could be December.
Right. Let's go with McGregor. Yeah.
Cory over here. So, Austin Hubbard, Neil Magny, both guys you train with. How do their fights go this weekend?
Austin's going to win and Neil's going to win. Yeah, Austin's I really like boasting about both of them, but in particular Austin. Sorry, Neil. He's not even paying attention. He's hungry. But Austin was a dog, first of all, to get into the UFC. Like, I've been training with Austin for a really long time. He had some really tough-ass fights to even get into the UFC. Got into the UFC, was, like, winning some, losing some. Fought, like, really, really tough competition in the UFC. Gets cut. Has, like, some things happen in his life that sucked. And then, like, got the call for the Ultimate Fighter and then, like, is back in the UFC and, like, about to win the show, you know? Like, yeah, Austin's, like, an inspiring guy to me. Even though he won't say it himself, I'll say it for him.
And then last one from me. Obviously, you said you want O'Malley to win for the division. But what about you? Which fight would you rather have, a fresh one with O'Malley or redemption against Aljamain?
They're, like, the same for me, I guess. I don't know. I don't really get, like, the whole, I guess I want to beat Aljamain again, of course. but it's not something that I like stay up at night thinking about. But I would really like to beat him again if I ever get the opportunity to. I also know that like the fans would really love a fight with me and O'Malley, and like I really have grown a really big liking for the fans. Like before, I was kind of it felt like a little bit like vain to like care about what like people thought, but now I like really love the fans, which is why I'm like kind of bummed about the way that my fight went still, because I really like have grown to like really love them and kind of like give them what they want. You know, like before it always sounded so weird when fighters would like have that as like a reason to fight someone is because the fans would like it, but now I like really care about that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think that the fans would really like O'Malley, and I kind of want to give them what they want.
Cory, over here. Here. My bad. So I know you've only fought Chito and you haven't fought Pedro, but how do you see that fight turning out on Saturday? Who do you think wins and why?
I think Munoz is going to win that one. I think Munoz just gets slept on a lot, but he's a phenomenal fighter. Chito, like as long as like I feel like if you fight Chito and you're one of these better guys at the top, you just have to like not get hit with some really hard shit, you know, and like you'll do pretty well because he's not really a point guy. He's really like hunting for like a knockout, which makes him exciting. But if you just stay real protective and don't let that happen, then that's like kind of the clear path to victory. And I think Munoz has a good chin on him. I think he has real good, solid defense in his striking, and I think that it's going to be hard to take him down. And Munoz has good takedown offense too. So yeah, I think Munoz will probably win that one. Honestly.
Thank you.
Real quick, Cory. You had said that it kind of annoyed you that O'Malley was already looking at like if he wins, he would like to defend his title against Chito. Obviously, if he wins as well, but you want him to win. Do you not have any reservations that if he does become champion, he might want to look at certain type of fights that like may sell or whatever, and then not fight, you know, rightful contenders such as yourself?
Yeah, but I also think that like he doesn't get as much say in that as people might think that he does. Like, you know, like. No, I don't think that he gets as much say as he wants. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to cherry pick his fights. He's going to have to fight the toughest guys that the UFC wants him to fight, and that's like what he should want. But yeah.
Yeah, and he's obviously like a very polarizing figure. Like personally, have you had any interactions with him, and like what do you make of him, sort of outside of the cage?
I've had real good interactions with O'Malley. We sat next to each other at one show, and it was like fine. It wasn't awkward. I actually like the guy. I think that it's cool that he's like really honest. Like I appreciate that in people, and I do think that he's a really honest guy. I think his coach Tim is a really good coach, and I think that like their little like thing really like their like relationship reminds me a lot about me and my coach's relationship, where we're both very close to each other. And like he took me from day one to where I am now, so I can kind of relate to that too. So yeah, I'm like an O'Malley fan. I just wish that he would ask for tougher fights because I think it's what we're doing here.
Yeah. And by the way, any time frame on that? Do you have?
6 months till it's like 100% healthy. Then I could start training like full bore.
Have you talked to Ryan Hall at all? It seems he's an expert in those kind of things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's coming in town this weekend. He's going to watch the fights with me, and then we're flying out to Denver. He's going to train and stay at my place. But yeah, I guess I should just ask Ryan. Everything that he was doing, I'm going to do the complete opposite of what he was doing. Yeah. He had like 1,200 surgeries last year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Cory, just a quick one. Obviously, after your appearance on the Joe Rogan podcast, you talked about like striking is about like manipulating space and everything. So I'm curious, are there fighters that you watch that maybe don't get enough credit? Like they're never really listed as these high level strikers, but when you watch them the way you watch striking, that they impress you and you think other people should be talking about them more?
I don't know if there's any fighters like that. I will say that I think that it's like when I was learning how to strike, I always thought it was. I thought that the most fun guys to watch were the guys that could make people miss. Like that was always so awesome to me when I was trying to learn kickboxing and boxing. Like head movement was so cool to me. Guys like Pernell Whitaker were awesome to me. Like Manny Pacquiao, just like these amazing like defensive fighters were just super, super cool to me. And back when I first started training, it was at Grudge, and everyone in there was a fucking monster, and we didn't split things up by weight classes. So I learned real quick, just being like 140 pounds and 18 years old, that I was not trying to get hit by anyone. So that's kind of like where my style developed a little bit, is it's like, okay, I got to not knocked out here like these other people get knocked out. So in the UFC, I think that there's like a number of ways to like make your style work inside of like the principles or whatever that I kind of came up with in my head, because I do think that it's a bit of a science. You know, there's some soul in it too, but it's a bit of a science. And I mean, Volkanovski's great. Israel's great. Right now, I'm kind of on like a strategist kick. Like the technical piece is kind of cool, but I'm like really interested in the way that like people are strategically going about it. Like, and I think Israel and Volkanovski and like their whole team do such a good job at like laying out strategy and like performing it to a T. So that's like kind of the kick that I'm on recently. Yep. Cool.
Yep.